you, and welcome to a crazy one that we've got for you today, as 2 million POX walkers here are about to swarm over this poor old beleaguered Imperial Guard defensive position. But of course, we've got some good old Black Templar Space Marines here today who are going to be trying to help even out the battle here for the old conscripts who are trying to hold that line at the moment, as a whole POX walker swarm just comes absolutely rushing in and swarming at that front line. Here we go though. Space Marines are making their way to that front line. Chainsaws ready and waiting. But yes, this is going to be quite a desperate defense here. Now we have got a couple of Death Corps of Krieg trying to hold the inner fort, as well as a couple of artillery cannons, which are going to be providing invaluable fire support here for the Imperial Guard army. And already we're coming up to 100,000 losses here for the POX Walker Swarm. British just throwing its units against our Black Templars here at the moment. But they're having quite a field day, just holding back that gigantic swarm. You can see them artillery shells there, providing that close-up fire support, sending loads of the grays through the air. Oh, I absolutely love it. But meanwhile, on the rest of the combat line, the conscripts are trying to hold firm here. But it is a brutal assault. The bodies are starting to pile up underneath them. Oh, look at this, a glorious sight. A lone Space Marine here, completely surrounded, but he's standing on a mound of dead underneath him. It's, oh gosh, look at that in the background. The gigantic swarm there, where the Space Marines have not yet managed to help the line. The conscripts are having to deal with it, and my gosh, is it an ever growing swarm here. They're trying to outflank the Imperial Guard position. The Imperials here are holding the rear line. More and more troops are being pumped in. But these POX walkers are quite fast here. Look at that. Getting right around and stuck into that flank. Will the Imperials be able to hold it? I don't know. The POX walkers have certainly got numbers on their side, even with 250,000 of them now being lost. Look at this. We're starting to make this other defensive mound here around the Imperial Guard position. Who needs walls when you can create your own here? But our Black Templars are giving the Imperial Guards the respite that they need. This little space here is creating such a good gap for the Imperials to lay down that fire support. Again, that artillery just sending things skyrocketing into the air. You don't get bored of it. But look at that. The massed hordes waiting to make their way to that front line. But the Black Templars are surging forward here. Superior in combat, of course, to mere POX walkers. They're just literally trampling over them and just leaving behind a wake of bodies behind them. There's no piles here, no body piles, none whatsoever. They're just absolutely storming forward. And look at this, they've got a really nice firing gap here for the conscripts, who are just happily laying that fire down, giving them fire support where they can. But in other parts of the line, it's looking a little bit more desperate. Look at all them, just swarming right into any gap that they can. Even with 400,000 losses now mounting up, there is absolutely no respite here. It is brutal on that front line. The zombie hordes managing to actually really get up close to quite a few of the Imperial lines here. Slowly but surely closing that gap around the rear. So many of them now are pouring into the breach. Look at this, the Imperials have got this just tiny little slither here that has left, that has not been covered in POX or plague yet. But bit by bit, it is. Oh, look at that. It's getting filled in now, literally as we speak here. The Imperials putting up a real good rear guard defense at the moment, holding back the waves. On the rest of the line, though, the bodies have really started to pile up here. Look at that. We've literally got a thick mound wall surrounding the Imperial defense now. The POX walkers having to clamber over their dead comrades to actually even get close to the Imperial defense. The guns just completely lighting up that line. I love this though, the Space Marines. Look, iconic really. It almost reminds me of Doom Guy. Just standing there, a lone Space Marine surrounded by piles of dead enemies that he's butchered with his chainsaw. I mean, I've got to imagine some of these guys, the chainsaws have got to be getting pretty clogged up with meaty chunks at the moment. Always wondered, they have like a self-cleaning function on them in the middle of combat, you know. Does it just hose itself down, get the bits of bone out of it? But oh, look at that, an amazing Imperial defense at the moment. We're starting to get a bit of a goopy lake in the center. The Imperials need to watch out for that. That could become dangerous for both sides, to be honest. If it pulls up too much, it could form a natural barrier that the POX walkers will have to go around. Or it could just simply drown the Imperial Guardsmen. Look at this, though. Little chinks here are appearing in the Space Marine line, and the Poxwalkers are trying to exploit it, using it to surround any Space Marine that they can. And look at this, a few of them are making their way through to the conscript line. Just pouring over the mountain of dead comrades here. Oh, absolutely love it. Imperial artillery again, though, sending things into the sky. The poor old Poxwalkers don't know what happens when an earthquake or shell goes off, I tell you. This Imperial line's been holding really nicely over here, though, despite the relentless assault. I mean, just look at how constant that is. The only respite here is when that artillery shell goes off. The Imperials get a few seconds to fathom out what the heck is going on, and the fact that about a billion enemies are charging towards them at any one point. Oh, look at this. They've actually managed to close off the rear end here now. The Poxwalkers swarming round. Yeah, it's not a big, thick line yet, but it is certainly building up, and so is the pool underneath the Imperials' feet here. But the fortifications are holding for now. The artillery is still going strong, and so are the Templars. I mean, oh god, I love that. Just again, anywhere where there's a gap here in the Imperial lines, they're just storming on through. Completely converging here on the Imperial conscripts. They're doing a really good job, though, of holding back, considering they're just poor conscripts. You've got to imagine that the firepower from the Death Corps of Krieg in the background is really helping out as well. Not to mention, yeah, of course, the artillery. But the Space Marines are starting to wear down by the looks of it. We're starting to get these little gaps that are appearing in our line here. We have killed almost half of the entire Poxwalker swarm at this moment. But we've also lost 13,000 Imperial defenders, only 27 remaining. I mean 27,000, not just 27, god, that'd be disastrous. Look again, these little tiny lines start to appear. These little cracks and chinks in the Space Marine defense. And the Poxwalker swarm just tries to break through it, tries to encircle them where they can. So that's the most effective tactic, really. The Space Marine can't defend every single angle simultaneously. Although, if he's got artillery backing him up, that does help out quite a lot. But yeah, look at this. The guy can only defend one way and attack one way. He really needs the Imperials there to cover him. Some of them have moved too far forward here. They're almost out of range, really, of being supportive. Because look at this, the rest of the line is just being absolutely hammered. The Poxwalker swarm now, with only under 1 million left here, have got to really put in that work to start making it these Imperials sweat. Because at the moment, the Imperials are literally just standing back and blasting them. Look at how thin this line has become again. The Imperials might actually break out here. I think we are actually going to get an Imperial breakout. They might not be penned in anymore. That'd be really good. If the Imperials can start clearing these flanks and start moving out into them, that'd be excellent for the Imperials. Because that'll give them a little bit of a maneuver. Because at the moment, this is starting to look incredibly deep over here. In fact, Imperials are starting to drown already in the goop that has been laid down. That's why so many of them have actually moved up forward here. Okay, that is getting really deadly then. But luckily, look at that. It's just right in front of the artillery. The artillery is just on this little hill here, which is keeping it nice and safe. So, hopefully, if that fills in a little bit, should our front line actually falter, the Imperials will have a goop defense that should split the Poxwalker swarms in half here. I'm a little bit worried about these flanks on this side, though. Things are starting to get a little bit dicey. The Poxwalkers are getting extremely close, so the Imperials really need to get this break out of the rear defense here. But it's looking good, I've got to say. They're actually pushing out, look at that. Yes, a couple of the Imperials now pushing out over the mounds here. We've still got a load of them who are penned up inside of the actual defense. A lot of them are the Kriegers. But again, they were told to hold the fort, and that's exactly what they're doing. Meanwhile, on our other lines, again, our Space Marines are starting to get thinner and thinner. More and more spaced out, no pun intended here, which is just allowing this Poxwalker swarm to keep on swarming right into the front lines now of the conscripts. And unfortunately, these guys have got very little space now to maneuver. They've either got to go back into the blood or further over towards where the other side of the battlefield is. But at the moment, the Space Marine line is holding. They haven't been outflanked yet. Look at this. Some of them here moving up forward, realizing that they're getting a little bit outflanked on that side. That is actually quite a big break now in the Imperial defensive line. Look at that. All of them just swarming through. The Imperials quickly need to get a defensive line going here. Get some sort of line going again. Because this has just been absolutely disastrous here. Should these Space Marines fall, it's going to be a full-on assault again, right back into them Imperial lines. At the moment, this side is also looking kind of good. I mean, the Space Marines are looking a little bit damaged at the moment. But I do think they can hold out for just a little bit longer. We've got 630,000 Poxwalkers remaining here with 17,000 defenders. I mean, look at this. Again, the lone Space Marine hero with artillery support just holding out. Meanwhile, the rest of the line under constant barrage here as bodies are just continuously thrown at it. Oh my god. They're just fast and relentless. Again, the Imperials barely having any time to register what's going on. Just so many of them. You just shoot your gun blindly at this point. But look at this. It is broken at the rear. The Imperials have managed now to finally crack that Poxwalker swarm and are pushing out. That's really good for the defenders here. The more that they can get away from the blood, the better. And I mean, this flanking maneuver by the zombies has been really effective as well. It has forced the Imperials around to the other side of the battlefield. The ones that got caught out have drowned. And look at this, the zombies. Oh man. Traversing across the goop, trying to get there towards that Imperial line. And all that's going to happen now is this is going to get filled in with bodies bit by bit. And again, that's just going to help the attackers. They've only got 500,000 remaining. Oh, hello, mate. Look at our Space Marine line, though. It's looking a bit bleak now. Without the Imperial Guard support here, they're starting to get surrounded ever so slightly. Mostly the Imperials have made their way over to this side of the field. But again, this is also under constant assault now. It is just absolute insanity. What the Poxwalkers really need to do is get these guns silenced. The artillery is providing such valuable support at the moment. Look at that. I mean, it's just clearing out them front lines from massed hordes, and it's taking out hundreds at a time. Easily. So many are sent into the stratosphere. But again, look at this. The Imperials have pushed out of that flank. Bit by bit, they are making their way around right into the flank of the Poxwalkers, but they have still got a massed force up here. And the only worry is if the Space Marine line here does fall with the Black Templars, there is going to be a gigantic surge forward of Poxwalkers. I mean, they're already starting to get these cracks in the line again. These things are deadly, man. And look at that, they're actually starting to properly outswarm. What I think's happened then, realistically here, is that the Space Marines have pushed so far forward now that most of the Poxwalker swarm is concentrating on trying to kill the Space Marines, which means that not as many units are being put into that flank. Just enough to sort of keep the Imperials in check. That is basically what's happening. So I think, realistically, the Poxwalker swarm is just trying to kill off the Space Marines. And if they do that, I think they will have a nice clear run right into the conscripts. The Death Corps of Krieg might be a little bit more of a problem for them. But yeah, the conscripts are really struggling now. Oh god, look at that. The entire line has crumbled on this side now. The Imperials actually running backwards into the goop here, risking drowning themselves rather than being bitten to death and ripped apart. To be honest, I kind of don't blame them, you know. Either way, it's a pretty grim way to go. It's not a good life for an Imperial conscript. It rarely is. For anyone in the Imperial Guard, quite frankly. Unless you're an officer, you know, one of the higher-up officers, not on the front lines. Man, that Space Marine line, though, it's been holding out really nicely now. But again, look at these. That little crack here has allowed them to start outflanking. The Imperials need to really help out the Space Marine Battle Brothers here, because these guys are the only thing holding back basically 300,000 Poxwalkers from completely descending on Imperial lines. Though I do think this is actually too deep now to be passed through properly. Yeah, look at that. Definitely too deep to be passed through. So the artillery has sort of got a really nice little defense going on at the moment. It only has to focus its fire on the either side here, which is probably what's been keeping the Poxwalkers actually at bay for such a long time. Oh god, look at that. We almost piled them up over the actual walls here. That's kind of insane. 270,000 Poxwalkers are remaining here to only 8,000 defenders. Man, that is a lot. Again, the Space Marine line is the only thing that's really holding everything back. To the Imperials, you've got to be thankful that the Black Templar were on the field in such number. Oh my god, but that is a big flanking maneuver now coming out. So many there have just breached on through. And I'm getting really worried for our artillery guns as well now. It looks like the POX walkers are getting dangerously close to them. Yeah, look at this. Oh god, the Space Marines completely outflanked now. Well, actually not oh yeah, it is completely. They are surrounded from all sides here. They've done such an excellent job of holding this front line. I don't think they've moved from this position in a very long time, simply because they haven't had the fire support helping them. But yeah, they've done an excellent job of holding back most of the horde. The flanks have been holding out really nicely as well. Oh my god, look at this. The artillery is actually at risk of drowning here. You got to think that was higher up than the rest of the lower plateau here. But yeah, okay, it is starting to wear down the Imperial defense here though. Even with all the distracted units at the front, still throwing themselves at the Space Marines. Just simple wear and tear here. Sheer weight of numbers being thrown at the Imperial lines is starting to have an effect. We're looking a little bit more peachy on this side, I've got to say. This side looks a lot better than the other side. I think it's got more artillery support on this side as well. The Imperials have managed to push right on up on this one. That's quite good. This side I'm still a little bit worried about. It's still under constant assault. There's a lot of POX walkers still moving into that area. Again, the last few Space Marines here are now holding out. It is getting dangerous. With only 6,000 defenders left, these are 160,000 attackers. The Imperials here with 1.7 million kills under their belt. They've done an excellent job of defending this location so far. Like I said, it's all in the flanks though for this one. And the Imperials have managed to secure their flanks really nicely, especially on this side. That artillery has been hammering home though. Some of it is looking a little bit worse for wear. Some of it is covered in a little bit of blood. Oh god, we've lost an artillery piece there. That is significant firepower lossage here. How are we doing with the Space Marines? Because, oh my god, look at this. We've literally only got a few Space Marines left now. There's like, what, 6 here? 7? Something like that. Oh, that is dangerous, man. There's going to be so many numbers that start running forward in a minute. We've only got 6,000 defenders remaining. Luckily, like I said, we've got a lot of free troops. We're not penned in here. We can hold the flank. We can form some form of line. Oh god, they've actually cleared out this entire side now. The POX walkers have. I do think we might lose the artillery guns here at this point. Some Imperials there trying to retreat back into the inner walls here. As long as we can hold the flank though, that's good. Look at how many POX walkers there were actually distracted over this side of the field. That has been so good. Even if all the Space Marines do perish here, they have provided such invaluable support and such a good distraction. Oh, actually, I think this is the very last Space Marine now. All by himself, all his battle brothers have fallen here. And they've held out for almost, what, 20 minutes? Something like that? 15, 20 minutes. They held that front line, and there it is. The last of the Space Marines, and now we're going to get this surge. Suddenly, all these nommers are completely free to roam into the flanks here. Because, yeah, look at that. They cannot pass across the blood. But have they got enough now to take out the remaining Imperial defenders? Oh, look at that. I love watching these massive surge forwards. Let's go have a look at the Imperial lines. How are they handling this now? Now that the POX walkers are coming in with renewed vigor here. There's so many of them just throwing themselves at that front. Oh my god. The Kriegers, though, seemingly the last line of defense here, as always. The shovels are out. The gas masks are making happy squeaky noises. And so is the shovels. It hits some poor POX walker in the head. How are we doing on this side, guys? Okay, yeah, there's definitely a renewed assault here now. They're starting to build up them forces really dramatically. We're down to our last 2 artillery guns. The Krieg here forming a desperate last stand. We've got 4,000 against 42. It's a 10-to-1 ratio. Can they hold it out? Come on, get some more of them artillery shots off. We've got 1 artillery gun left alive here. and the Kriegers are holding firm. It is a desperate defense, man. Them Kriegers want to keep that artillery going. And it is firing at point blank. Luckily, there's no friendly fire in this game. Otherwise, that would be absolutely devastating to the Kriegers. But at the moment, it has provided that last little bit of fire support here. Oh my god, we're down to 22,000 zombies. Look at them go. I think we might actually hold this flank over here, even with the insane assault that's been going on. How are we doing on the other side of the field? Oh, it's starting to peter out. But look at this. Where's the defense actually gone? They've all spread out now across the field. They've all retreated back across the bodies, trying to spread out to form an effective defense here, so that they can't use their blobby might against them. And it has worked absolute wonders up until this point. Oh no, we did lose the artillery gun though. But it is now at 7,000 to the last remaining at 3,000. And I think they're all Kriegers pretty much. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's not a single conscript left alive. We're all down to Kriegers now. Can anyone spot a conscript here? Oh, I can. We have got at least one conscript here. There he is. Standing valiant. Oh, there's a couple of them. Okay, so a few conscripts have made it through this. Oh my god, only a few though. But look at that. We have managed to clear out most of the field here now. There's only a couple of zombies remaining, and they're all at the front of the defense. And the Kriegers are just gunning them down, man. Look at these dudes here. The backs to the wall. Oh man, poor old conscript, you're not paid anywhere near enough for this. But look at this. Are they going to survive? Oh my god, these dudes might survive. They did. Wow. They actually managed to survive the last of that assault there. That was absolutely fantastic, with only 3,000 units remaining. Oh my god, look at that. But yes, thanks mainly to the Black Templars, they did manage to survive the absolute death that was the POX walkers. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you've had a blast. I know I have. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. A massive shout out to all our channel members who helped keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out the Death Before Dishonor hoodie, available now in the ChaoticPinky store. Links in the description. With all that being said, as always, until next time, peace.